I mean, I would just highly encourage somebody to just go spend 2 days with someone that you look up to, that's in that business or industry that you want to start to get into. I'm not a big, everybody says just dive head first. I'm just not that guy that tells you to do that. Same thing with, like some people say, it's just as easy to buy a 100-unit apartment complex as it is a 4-unit apartment complex. I agree in theory, but when there's a $100,000 apartment complex has problems, it's a lot more expensive than a 4-unit complex.
Yeah.
Like there are stages to get into everything. So I think start smaller, find a good mentor or partner with the mentor on your first couple deals, and then gradually work your way out of your W-2 job if you're looking to quit your W-2 job.
Welcome to Burning the Ships podcast, and I'm your host, Jason Seward, and today I got my buddy, Mr. Caleb Pearson, on the show. Caleb, welcome.
Base, thank you for having me on.
I'm excited, man. You and I have been talking about this for probably over a year, but we're both busy, and it's tough to sync up our schedules, but I caught you on the heels of a surgery, so you can't get away from me right now.
Yeah, I'm laid up in the house right now, so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, we're going to get into an introduction stuff here in a minute, but like every episode, we're going to kick it off with JJ's joke of the week, and I'm going to turn it over to my man, JJ.
What's orange and sounds like a parrot? A carrot.
All right, buddy, that was a good one. Thank you, JJ. Caleb Pearson. What a lot of folks may not know that are in your network now is you are originally a Virginia boy. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm from your neck of the woods.
Yep, that's exactly right. So
we were 30 minutes away from each other growing up.
Yep, that's right. And I didn't know you until you were well established down in Charleston. So it's funny.
Yeah, I played sports against you guys and your brother.
Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, man, I like I just mentioned, I met you through I think first time we connected was through like Bratz and Legacy Family and stuff like that. And being around you a couple times, talking to you, kind of hearing your story. It's an inspirational story of literally not having a clue what you were going to do to, an evolution to where you're at now. And I'll let you tell all that story. But I have been just from afar fascinated with a couple things that I've observed. One, obviously what you've built, down in the Charleston area, and you are in Charleston, South Carolina. But I'm really fascinated with, because you're very active on social media, but just watching how you come from a competition and sports background. And I love how you tie those mindsets of just leadership and team building and culture and things like that into everything you do. So I'm excited to get into all that. But what I'm going to do, Caleb, is turn it over to you. You take it wherever you want, tell your story, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, my name's Caleb Pearson. I live in Charleston, South Carolina right now, or for the last 16 years since college, 15, 16 years. Grew up in Southampton County, Virginia, near where Jason is. Graduated with a business degree. I'd never been to Charleston before until spring break of my senior year. And I went down to Charleston and there were just a bunch of good looking blonde women everywhere. So I had a job lined up in Raleigh with the DirecTV marketing company. But it didn't start until August. So finished school, graduated, and then told my parents I was going to move to Charleston for the summer and then go to Raleigh at the end of the summer and take that job. I met a lady here and she goes, "You would crush it in real estate. You should come work for me." So she put me under her wing. She told me, "Here's what you say on the phone. Here's who to call. The more dollars you make, the more money you'll make." And I didn't know any different. So I just did exactly what she did. I would run through a wall. And like the first year or two, I would say I probably sold 100 homes in the first 18 months with that lady. I didn't know what I was doing, but I could set appointments left and right. So she'd run the appointments with me. And then over time I learned how to close.
Right.
So we got that going. And then my cousin came down and started working with me, and we split off on our own and started our own real estate team. We got to where we were doing, I'd say our biggest year probably ever was about 250 homes in a year, somewhere in that range. Then I'll never forget, one day we made an investor, Russ Schneider.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this story. I called this guy who was an expired listing one day, And the guy goes, hey, the house is listed at 200. The guy goes, hey, do you have anybody that could just make me a cash offer and we can get rid of it tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I do know somebody that does that. Hold on, let me call somebody. So I called Russ, and Russ said, tell him I'll give him 100 grand for it. And I'm thinking, no way this guy takes this. So I hang up, call the guy, and he goes, 100 grand. Okay, when can he close? And I called Russ, and Russ said 10 days. And I'm thinking, all right, I just made Russ, by the time he puts a few bucks into it and turns around and sells it, I probably made him 75 to 100 grand, and I made 3,000 bucks. I said, I'm sitting on the wrong side of this table. So then I got fascinated with fixing and flipping homes and doing wholesale. So we got into a mastermind that had some of the biggest fix and flippers in the country in it. And we started traveling around the country. I started going to their offices, and we just copied and pasted everything that they did. So we got to where we'll probably do 75 to 100 flips a year now. So we kind of built that arm of the business. And then in that business, at these mastermind events, I started looking around the room, and I'm like, okay, all of these guys have high incomes. Who has the best lifestyle? And it seemed to be the multifamily guys. So that's where I met Tim Bratz. So I asked Tim and Corey Peterson and a couple of those guys, can I fly to your office and see how you guys do it? And they gave me the kind of all the secret shortcuts and the do's and don'ts of buying multifamily. So we started buying multifamily apartments and mobile home parks about 7 or 8 years ago. Haven't bought a whole lot lately just because cap rates have gotten squeezed so hard, and it's just hard to make work. So we got that side of the business built, and we got a pretty decent sized portfolio built up of commercial properties, mobile home parks and apartments. And then most recently, we've gotten into the same business that you're in, the hard money lending business, because our fix and flip company, I was playing golf with a buddy one day, and I'm like, we're making him a killing every year. And all he's doing is sending wires. And then he's got us who were pretty decent operators that we know we're going to pay him off whether we lose or make money. So I did the math on it, and he did the math, and he goes, I think I can raise a little bit of money. So we partnered up, and the fund's at about 10 million bucks now. Wow. So that business, he does the majority of it. I have the relationships with the borrowers, so I can get the borrower count in, and then he's doing the majority of the capital raising. But that business is fun. You don't deal with as many headaches as you do flipping houses.
Yeah, you definitely don't. It's a seesaw business. So you're either flush with capital and you got to find loans to fund, or you have more loan demand than capital. So it's always that teeter-totter, and that's just the nature of it. But it's not hard to manage. Like it's you can pull one lever or the other all the time.
It's juggling. It's constant juggling. And then closings don't happen when they say they're going to happen, or they fall through when you think you've got to get that money back in and lend it back out in 2 weeks. So you're using lines of credit. It's a game, but also the phone doesn't ring at night and the phone doesn't ring on weekends.
That's right. Yep. So let's kind of unpack a lot of this. So there's one theme, you walked us through every step of it pretty quickly there, but there's one theme I heard with every step of the evolution, and that was you were very quick to lean on, or to seek out and then lean on mentors. So let's talk about that piece of it, because there's no question, a lot of people, they might have that same mindset of, I can figure this out, I'm going to dive into it, but they have the ego that makes them believe they can do it themselves. It doesn't sound like I'm sure you have an ego, everybody does, but it sounded like very early on, you got under the wing of a real estate person that kind of showed you how to close. And then that evolved into a fix and flip business that you got under the wing of somebody else, right on up to what you're doing now. So talk about that mentality, and was that intentional or just something natural to you?
I think I just learned early that if you find a good mentor, and no matter what you're doing, those people love to help you. Like if you go on these big mastermind groups and you look for the gray hair in the room, the seasoned guys that have been doing it for a long time, they'd love to have you fly out and shadow their office, and they'll do it for free. I will say, if you spend money on it, whether it's on the airline tickets or you're paying them to be there, you're going to implement more. Yep. But I mean, we're in 2 masterminds that are not cheap, and I have a personal business coach that's super expensive. We spend at least $100,000 a year on just education.
Yep. Yeah. And And it, like, the education piece of it, super important, having mentors, coaches, all of that. But it means nothing if you're not implementing and taking action, right? So, and that, like, what sounds like you took action every step of the way, and probably blended the two, so a lot of your education was through taking action with the life raft of a mentor there kind of overseeing things. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it gives you a shortcut. So like that mentor, you can bounce ideas off of them. You can tell them, I'm going to do this is how I'm going to do it, and they'll just either just cut it short and say, no, don't do it that way. I've tried it. Do it this way. Or this is the person that you need to go talk to set this up. Because every level of business that you get to comes with different sets of problems. So if you can find somebody that's a couple steps ahead of where you want to be, you can avoid a lot of pain from here to here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also kind of hear a theme through your 16 years down there. It sounds like you're constantly looking for, not necessarily like you're not trying to stay busy all the time, but you're looking for the next opportunity to scale up. Like, so you're sitting there making calls and setting appointments. You knew your next step was to learn how to close. So you start closing, and then you see, now I've got those two pieces, I can start my own shop, and you start your own shop. So I'm curious, like, where a lot of folks get kind of stuck in the mud on one or two things, right? And it seems like even to this day, you're always thinking, now you're into the lending, you're probably seeing other opportunities out there. Where did that come from? Is that something you've always had, like a curiosity, and then to take action on that?
I don't know. I mean, people say, what's the saying? You could be jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't want to, I've got the entrepreneurial spirit where I chase too many rabbits sometimes, but what I've done is I've built one and then got it fairly self-sustainable. Built another one, got it self-sustainable with just a little bit of oversight from me, not me doing all of the work per se, but me giving more, I guess, just brain power behind it.
Right.
And then the physical activities and the sales. Where was I going with that?
Well, you're talking about like building things. So you're curious, you see an opportunity, you start building, but you're building it in a way where you don't have to be hands-on with it all the time.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. That's the goal with them, is build things that have high profit margins is the goal. That doesn't take a ton of my time.
Yeah. Right. And
build like people, because like we've been very fortunate to build a culture to where people stay for long periods of time.
And that was you just led into my next question as far as the team building goes. And this is where I think, well, a lot of what we talk about, you can be tied into sports analogies, but you are a team guy, right? You've played sports. You played baseball and basketball. Is that right?
I played basketball in college.
But okay, gotcha. And so the ultimate team sport, like you're only as good as the team around you, no matter if you're the captain of the team or a role player. Is that the mentality you've kind of taken towards building your teams within these businesses?
100%. And we've done it in a couple of different ways. I scaled the retail, my brokerage side of the business, where we probably had between 20 and 30 people. And we had a big army of people that everybody was just making a little bit of money. And now we've kind of scaled it back down to where we've got a small group of warriors that everybody's making really good income. Which I've been good at building the small teams. I have not been great at building large teams with the management of a bunch of people.
Right. I guess the larger teams, that's where it needs to be kind of implementation of middle managers, right? People pursuing you and those, and that's where you've struggled with a little bit, you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about the small teams. And this is a curious question for me, because I'm building one right now within the fund, and we're starting to hire folks and build out teams. How do you, and this is something we're trying to solve right now, but how do you set it up? Like, you own the business, right? All profits are eventually coming to your pocketbook, basically. But how do you structure it? I'd like to hear some of your strategies to incentivize folks and they feel ownership without having ownership. Like it's a legit ownership feeling. So they're approaching their job like the better I do, the more money the business makes, ultimately the more money I make. So what type of incentive structures do you set up there?
Yeah, so some of our higher level management is tied to the P&Ls
Mm-hmm.
and the success. I've got like my CFO who oversees all of our entities. And then I've got our COO who helps oversee all of the entities. And then in each company, I've got certain people that do certain jobs, and most of them are tied to the success of the P&L.
Right.
But the bottom line.
Yeah.
And then 401ks. I mean, we have a ton of golfers on the team, so I try to take them to play golf a good bit. We do awards trips. If we hit a certain goal every year, we'll go get all-inclusive rooms down in like Mexico.
Right.
We have a couple beach houses that we let the team use whenever they want, if they're open and they're not being booked. So I mean, we try to give as much as we can, but at the end of the day, I mean, the company has to make money.
Yeah. Right. Yep. So I like that. And that's kind of the model we're implementing as we build our teams out is pretty much at every level, it's tied to that bottom line one way or the other. I mean, there's base salaries and compensation structures, but there's that extra bonus piece in there that ties it to the P&L. So I like that. I heard recently I was at an event with Kelly Garrett, and she talked about her only role as a leader is to create a culture and cast a vision. What are your thoughts around that mindset?
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Right. So how do you talked about you have a bunch of golfers. I'm sure that's not like part of your hiring process is asking them if they play golf, but to some degree, you're trying to build a team that are aligned, not just with a sense of let's get the job done, but like you can hang out with these people. You can vibe with these people, and everybody kind of is on that same level of interest and things like that. Is that something you pay attention to?
100%.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds bad, but if I hire somebody, I want it to be somebody that I could go out and have a beer with.
Yeah. Right.
I want the spouse. We try to meet the spouse of that person to see how the home relationship's going to work in it. Do they have to be golfers? No. But at the end of the day, I want to find people that are like-minded and create a family. And if you create a tight enough family, it makes it hard for people to leave.
Yeah. Yep. I were talking about golf. So I worked for Farm Bureau Insurance for years before I left a couple of years ago. But probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years into that career, I was never a golfer. Like all my buddies golf, I just never picked it up. And we'd go on these trips, these incentive trips, and everybody go out playing golf, and I'd go to the bar. I just never went with them. And one of my bosses said, man, if you want to strengthen relationships, whether it's in this career or another, you got to learn to play golf. You got to get out there and go. And I picked it up, and now I'm obsessed with golf. But that was
your business,
right? Exactly.
Your business. I mean, I'd say the majority of our money has been raised from our country club.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and in our business, you don't need to be, but being a member of the nicest country club near you is the best way to get around people and spend 4 hours with them and raise money.
Right. And we just joined the nicest country club around here. So earlier this year. So that's been a big lever for us to pull. But like I said, that's partly because I'm obsessed with golf now, but it's a great networking tool as well.
It's awesome. And take any trip that country club throws overnight, 3 or 4 nights with the guys.
Yeah.
And it's taken me like 3 or 4 years of being a member there, because you don't want to go in there and just start asking everybody for money.
That's it. Yep.
But over time, people start to see your success. They see your podcasts and your your social media stuff that you put out. Then they start asking questions. Then their checks start coming in, and then they start telling their friends, and then it's snowball.
Yep, absolutely. So, I want to kind of, and you just mentioned it because I had this as a question or a topic I want to discuss. But you mentioned social media. People seeing my stuff on social media. You're very active in social media. I think both of us have kind of taken the same approach of we outsource that for the most part. But talk about was there any point where you were uncomfortable putting a lot out there on social media, but you just leaned into it because you knew it was necessary almost, or have you always been comfortable with it?
So I think I've always been pretty comfortable with it. I used to do all of my own social media, and then I got lazy with it. And we hired Q's team over at Legacy Digital.
Mm-hmm.
So they run our stuff now, but you can't depend solely on them. Like, people love seeing pictures of you and your family.
Yep.
People love the jokes from your son.
Right.
You have to sprinkle in some personal stuff with it too, not just the paid ads or the paid branding that you hire somebody to do.
Yep. And that has been the hardest. Like, it's not hard for me to pay a company to come out and shoot videos a couple times a year and package it all up and stuff. That's not hard. The hard part is documenting my real life, right?
Yeah.
And because it's just not natural for me to pull out a camera everywhere I'm at. And we work with Q and them as well, and they're always encouraging me. Just like, you're going to this concert, take a quick video or something. Like, I'm not comfortable with it, but I have learned to get comfortable with that. So yeah. But the value of it, like, I mean, in all of your businesses, one way or another, you're trying to attract attention, right? Whether it's what y'all are doing on the real estate brokerage side, the lending side, raising capital, finding borrowers, all of that. But the hardest thing with social media is measuring that return on investment, right? And that's why I see a lot of folks get hung up with pulling that trigger to pay or lean more into social media, especially if they're paying for it, because it's not cheap if you're going to outsource it. What is some advice you have around that? Because I see a lot of people not taking the step because they can't measure what they're going to get in return for it.
Yeah, and Q and I have had this conversation a lot. It's the hard thing to tie a true ROI to, because it's hard to track that lead came from this because they saw 19 of your posts, then they went to your website that Q's team has nothing to do with managing, and they called in through that number, or they texted you versus coming in through the number that you had on your ads.
Right.
And they say, hey, I've been seeing all your stuff. Tell me more about your fund. So it is a hard thing to track an ROI on, but it's important to have, because awareness of your brand is kind of the lifeblood of your business.
Yep. Yeah, it's no different in my mind. I mean, this kind of like comparing it to the old school marketing of billboards, right? You put a billboard up on the interstate, you don't know directly how many calls are coming from that billboard, but it keeps you top of mind to people commuting to work every day. So social media is just a more advanced or modern way of a billboard, right? And I mean, everybody's on it. So, so now, Caleb, and let's talk about, you have your thumb on the real estate market on a daily basis, right? You know the trends, you make predictions and decisions based off what you're seeing in the market. So let's start at a local area, kind of in your market, or southeast eastern part of the US. What are you seeing? What are you excited about? What are you concerned with?
So COVID happened in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
And the market I saw the light switch go off for like 2 weeks. We had 20 something flips in construction, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm about to lose everything that we've built overnight because of the shutdown of the economy. And then what really happened was everybody that was on the 10-year plan to come down from the Northeast to South Carolina and Florida, they all came in that 3 or 4 year stretch. And like, we had a mass influx of people come in. So we saw real estate prices double in 2 years.
Right.
So now our inventory in our market, a normal market here is 6,000 homes. It got down to 800 homes. So the market was just on fire. We were selling stuff for 50, 100 grand over asking, no inspections. I mean, it was a fun time. We got rewarded for being bad at flipping homes. So if a house took 3 months longer to renovate, we made an extra 50 grand because the market took the value up. Those days are no longer here. So the market's completely changed. It's still pretty good. We're almost to a balanced market here in Charleston. Price points are different though. And we're kind of fortunate because we dabble heavily on the fix and flip. We're in like that sub 500 price point most of the time. We do a few high end ones, but then like my retail brokerage team, we're selling in all price points up to like $6 or $7 million. So we get to see, I've got a little bit of insight into the market that most people don't have because I'm seeing every price point be dabbled in.
Yeah.
The low end price point's actually gotten hit the hardest, I think, because it's so payment based. And then the high end market is still really strong. That like $3.5+ million range is still really strong if it's a good product.
Right. And then, as far as like, that's where it is now. What do you see? Like, I never want to box anybody into like, making a bold prediction or anything, but from your opinion, what do you see as far as opportunities forthcoming?
So I think the market for the next couple of years is going to be pretty flat. I don't see, we're not going to get 10% appreciation in a year anytime soon, in my opinion. Affordability is just not there. Rates are too high. Prices are too high. I mean, I'm seeing people buy houses and $1.5 million. They've got about a $10,000 a month payment. Like that's a lot of money to pay for a $1.5 million house.
Yeah.
And here they get you like a brick ranch in a really good neighborhood.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. I mean, where you guys are, what is it? $1.5 million gets you
a beautiful 5 acres and a beautiful house on the James River. Like that's
yeah.
So
I just don't see the market taking off by any means, but I don't see it tanking.
Yeah. Right. So do you see more stabilization forthcoming and even with a stable market, that still opens up opportunities to figure out, where the next pivot needs to be and stuff like that. So you've got so many different arms of what you're doing right now. If you had to pick one that you see yourself kind of building or leaning more into in the next 3 to 5 years, which one would you say that would be, or the best opportunity anyway?
I don't know that I have a favorite. I think the fund is probably the most scalable.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I like having my hands in kind of all of them because they all feed each other. I mean, so like if for an example, sometimes the fix and flip division will find a house, we'll sell it to an investor for a profit, and then they will fix and flip the house, and then our real estate team will come in and sell it for them while we had financed it for the investor.
Yeah.
We're getting paid 3-4 times sometimes in one transaction. Now that's like the perfect storm, but it does happen occasionally.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and I both know a lot of real estate agents or even real estate brokers that settle into that world and that's all they ever do. And so I kind of want to go back to where was it your cousin or your brother that moved down and y'all started?
Both, actually. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So y'all start your own shop, essentially retail real estate. What do you think, and this kind of goes back to a previous question I had, but like you're an outlier in the sense of like you were doing good. You were doing 250 homes a year. You could make all the money you want with that shop or that you need. But it is very transactional. What made you take action on growing other businesses? Because nobody does that. Very few people do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just super entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And I saw opportunity there with to build on what we already had. And pretty much every one of my business is just an extension of another one.
Yeah.
Like another one that we haven't really tapped into heavily is construction. We probably send out $1 million plus a year in construction business to our subs.
Right.
Like that's a next arm that we could probably grab. That's the least enticing to me because construction's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. Also a pain in the ass is property management. Do you have that in-house or do you outsource that?
So I had some mentors tell me don't bring it in-house, and I never have.
Right. Got it.
They've done it. They've outsourced it. They brought it back in, and then they've outsourced it again. So I've just bitten the bullet and just paid the property management.
That's how we are. We are just on that line with our portfolio where we're paying enough to property management that would probably justify hiring a rock star to manage it for us. We're not going to do it. That's just another headache. And so I agree with you there. I mean, there is a point in which that would probably make sense, but we're not there yet. So
yeah, I mean I've said property management. Are all your doors right around where you are?
Yep, all in our backyard.
So we've got them kind of all over the country. So we've had the benefit of work. I don't know if it's a benefit. We've worked with a lot of different property management companies, and we've seen what a decent one is and what a very poor one is.
Yeah.
They're not going to treat your properties like you are, and they're not going to run it like you'd run your own business.
I'm my biggest enemy when it comes to property management. I'm a pushover. I'm like my first 5 or 6 rentals that I owned myself. I managed them myself. Every single one of them got behind on rent. Every single one of them were people I grew up with, or I knew their families, so I couldn't kick them out. I was terrible with it. So I've learned, even if I hire someone to manage my properties in-house, I'm still going to be a pushover, so it's just not anything I need to have my hands in. So, so Caleb, you're probably, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
36.
Okay. So you are my brother's age. You're very young. You have a lot of years ahead of you, hopefully, to continue building and scaling and doing everything you want. What's the ultimate play here? What's your vision? Is your vision to eventually next 10 years get where everything's passive and you're playing golf every day? You might do that already. I'm not sure, but what's the vision, you think?
So yeah, good question. I don't know that I ever will just completely quit. I went to this group. It was called Life. It was, the guy that wrote the book Life and Air, Sean McCloskey. He ran a mastermind, and I went to it for about 2 years, and we drew out a vision, and I thought my vision was to go play golf every day. And we kind of built it to where the businesses were cranking. Everything was good. Income was coming in. I was making enough that I didn't really have to work that hard. And I got a little depressed. So that just gave me a little foresight into what my future would look like if I just turn around in 10 years and sold everything and just decided to go on vacation.
Right.
The entrepreneur in me needs people to need me at some point during the day a little bit. It
just
sounds
to my language, man.
It sounds sick, but I need a little bit of stress, and I need somebody to need me to help solve problems at some point during the day.
Right. Yeah. I could not be more on the same page. It's so much so the people closest to me constantly joke when things are going smooth, okay, Jason's going to find something to cause chaos so he can fix a problem. Right. And it's almost, maybe it's an insecurity. I don't know, but I feel like I need to be needed all the time. So if I'm not, and everything's smooth and my phone's not ringing, I'm going to go stir some shit up. Right.
Yeah.
And that's just my nature. So I don't, like you, I like playing golf. I like going to the beach. I like taking travel, but in chunks, right? In moderation. I could play golf every day, but I still need to be chasing something or solving something. And it sounds like you're aligned.
I'm 100%. And that's just the entrepreneur. There's not, my wife, she did a presentation at the Collective Genius Mastermind, and she did it on being married to an entrepreneur. And she was like, every one of you guys in this room, y'all are all the same. Y'all are all this sick animal that always needs to be needed. You're always on. It's all hours of the day. You love stress. You love risk. Not everybody's like you guys, but the people in this room, y'all are all the same.
Right.
And she's right.
Yeah. It's probably a little bit of a sickness, because sometimes things will get so chaotic that I'm like, man, I need a break. I need a break. But as soon as you give me a little bit of a break, I can't handle the silence. I just got to get back out there and do it, So, I've grown for years, in my corporate career, I was that way too, but I didn't own it, And so it was always that missing piece of I'm grinding. I always want to solve everybody's problems, but it's not mine. Right. And now that it's mine, it's like pouring gas on everything,
Yeah.
So
you're an animal that just got let out of the cage.
Well, but that can be problematic too. And I want to get your thoughts on this because you keep talking about your team. I have to intentionally surround myself with people that are going to keep that in check, because if I just run rampant with all these wild ideas I have and trying to jump into everything and pursue everything that comes to my mind, I will be horrible. I'd be bankrupt in 5 years, But Fortunately, I have a business partner that is not that way. He's very analytical, very structured and things like that. I have a wife that's not that way. I have close friends and other, folks that I'm involved with that aren't scared to call me out and kind of pull the reins back on me a little bit. Do you have those folks in your life?
Oh, my wife says I have 15 of them.
Okay.
I mean, we have a CFO that keeps me in check financially. I'm only allowed to take two credit cards. I have a personal, and then I have one of my businesses. That's all I'm allowed to carry around.
Okay.
You won't let me carry any of the other ones around.
Right.
Trying to think. And then we have the director of operations, our COO, who organizes all the businesses. I have a personal assistant that is awesome. Then we have a listing coordinator, a closing coordinator. We have people that clean up behind me all day long. My wife says I'm just good at going out and creating a mess and creating chaos. And then the rest of the team helps me keep it organized and keep it going. Like I'm the rainmaker in the businesses.
Yeah.
But I'm not organized.
Right.
Attention to detail is just not me.
Same here. I'll have these brainstorming sessions where I'll fire off a text to Bill. I've told this on the podcast before, but it's funny. And I'll send him 10 ideas that just popped in my head, like out of nowhere. And now, we got to pursue these. And he's either going to respond with, like, if he likes one or two of them, he'll say, all right, let's next week we'll talk about this one or that one. But most of the time the response is a middle finger emoji. And that's my sign to, like, move on. Let's just get off of it. We're not doing anything there. So let's move on. So if you look through our text thread, it's a lot of middle finger emojis in there.
Have you heard of the rocks board? Like, do y'all have a board where we have a rocks board in our office where any ideas that I'm throwing at my operations manager that he's just not ready because he hadn't finished the last task that I threw at him, he puts it on the rocks board. So it basically puts it on the shelf. That's a good idea, but it's just not a good now idea.
Right.
And we gradually work down the rocks board as he finishes projects.
Yeah. So we have a Google Doc that I just unload now, all of my ideas. But the reality is, man, like I understand that it causes a lot of chaos and noise and stuff like that. And I know where my superpower is. I'm good at 0 to 1, like getting the idea going, getting it started. I've got to have an implementer. But without that, like just constant thinking and ideas and stuff like that, I might throw out 100, but in there might be 1 or 2 pieces of gold, right? And you don't get gold without that kind of activity, I think. So it creates a lot of chaos, but you just got to have the people around you that can manage all that, while you're going crazy thinking. So, yep. So what I like to do, Caleb, in every episode, because there's a wide range of people that listen to this, but a lot of folks are just dabbling, like just trying to figure out, their path, whether it's in real estate business, they're on the fence, they're not taking action, or they just don't know what the next steps are. Give some practice. I know you mentor some folks, and give some practical, and we're talking to the newbies, like the folks that might be working in insurance sales and they're looking to flip their first house or try to transition into this full time. Give some practical advice from your perspective.
I mean, I would just highly encourage somebody to just go spend 2 days with someone that you look up to, that's in that business or industry that you want to start to get into. I'm not a big, everybody says just dive head first. I'm just not that guy that tells you to do that. Same thing with, like, some people say it's just as easy to buy a 100-unit apartment complex as it is a 4-unit apartment complex. I agree in theory, but when there's a $100,000 apartment complex has problems, it's a lot more expensive than a 4-unit complex.
Yeah.
Like, there are stages to get into everything. So I think start smaller, find a good mentor or partner with the mentor on your first couple deals, and then gradually work your way out of your W-2 job if you're looking to quit your W-2 job.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, if you're heavy reserves, that's different. Like, if you've got a lot of money in the bank and you can risk losing money for 6 months or losing a little bit of it, it's okay.
Right. And I am going to sound like a broken record because I've been saying this a lot recently. The name of this podcast is Burning the Ships. Everything around our business has the burning ship logo and all that, like burn it all down and no looking back. I couldn't be furthermore from that mindset, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and like, it almost makes me want to kind of rebrand some things sometimes, because a lot of people think that I worked this long career and I just overnight blinked my eyes and now I'm making it in real estate. It took me 10 plus years of being very frugal and stocking away a lot of money and building a real estate portfolio that nobody knew was going on. So it may have seemed to everybody that I literally overnight burned the ships and figuring it out from there, but that wasn't the case. And I don't give that advice to anybody. If you've got a W-2 career and you're earning a consistent income, you're bankable, you leverage that. Like, you leverage that to start building something. And in my case, we had a decent portfolio. I had saved money. Like, I had a 5-year runway of where I could cut off this income and be okay taking that risk. And I couldn't agree with you more with the idea that, because you hear a lot of gurus, just go all in, you'll figure it out. You'll put that pressure on yourself. You can't burn the ship unless you got another ship to hop on.
Yeah.
Right?
And you need active income.
Right.
You can't just buy rentals. People will say, oh, go buy 10 rentals and you'll be free for life. That's not true.
Right.
And then the rentals don't spit off enough income. And then you end up getting whacked with them air conditioning unit. Like, I replaced 6 air conditioning units 3 weeks ago in 1 week.
Yeah.
At $5,000 a pop.
Right.
Like, you gotta have some cash. Like, that's a 2x4 that will whack anybody. It whacked me. Like, I didn't want to spend that. I didn't expect to spend it. Right. So, like, you can't just jump into wealth building without some active income coming behind it or in front of it.
Yep. No, I agree. Let's kind of start. The last topic I want to talk about is just kind of us, because we're in this business simultaneously, but the lending fund. Talk about, you've already talked a little bit about what inspired it. You know, you saw an opportunity that, like, you were using other people's money and now you could be the capital to other people. How are you guys structured? Are you an investment fund in the sense y'all raising capital, pooling that capital, making loans? Is that how you're structured?
That's exactly. We're a debt fund.
Yeah.
We bring the money in. So we've got a pool of $10 million and then we lend it out to people. So wholesaling, I don't know if you know, wholesaling is now illegal in South Carolina.
Yes.
So it actually worked out great for us because we had all these investors that we were wholesaling to. So we had all the relationships with them. Now, instead of wholesaling deals to them, we'll buy a deal, sell it to them, and then finance it for them.
Yep.
But they like borrowing from me because they know I've got so much experience in the market here. If I'm lending to them at pretty much the same terms that they were already being lent to and borrowing at, and I'm underwriting their deals, it's like a really good check and balance on their numbers. So a lot of those guys, they like borrowing from me just for that reason alone.
Yep. I think we're a lot alike there, because this was something we kind of, we knew it would give us a little bit of competitive advantage in our market, because most of our lenders are not actively investing in real estate themselves, right? Yeah. So it's all numbers. There's no creative thinking. It's black and white. Well, we're actively still buying property, flipping property, doing all of that. So to your point, folks come to us, they're getting a second opinion, a third opinion on things that they're underwriting. And if we say no to lending on it, like, we've probably saved several people some headaches by saying no, and then they just move on to the next deal, you know?
Yeah. So move on to the next deal, not the next lender per se. And
right.
And stay in. Some people, like, they get so emotionally attached, so they get it under contract. They're like, I have to do this deal. But if you tell me it's a bad deal and you've got more experience than me, I don't need to be going and buying that deal, because a lot of people can't afford to take a $20,000 to $50,000 hit.
Yeah.
That sets a lot of people back a long ways.
Right. Are you just lending on residential, or are you doing
residential, single family flips, first position mortgage? We get the question about seconds all the time. We don't do seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do very little. We're set up where we can. Internally, we don't like to, but occasionally, if it's the right operator, we've got that relationship established and it's a quick bridge or something, we'll do it. But we don't like that. So it just introduces too much risk. What is your average loan size down there?
It's a little over 200. I think it's like 230 now is what it's at.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, we're a little over 200 as well. Probably a little bit less than 230. But so are y'all lending on higher end flips though, or do you have that?
We just closed one for 125. That's the biggest one we've ever done. But most of our stuff is in that sub 300 mark.
Right. So with 10 million in capital, average of over a little over 200, have y'all started building a team within that business other than you and your partner?
So my partner does the majority of the legwork behind it. I do the underwriting when a deal comes in. It's highly automated. So borrower goes in, fills out their loan application. It spits me the report with everything that I need in it, the pictures, their ARV, the contract price, what they're requesting as far as the budget goes. It takes me 5-10 minutes to underwrite it. And then if I approve it, it sends him a quick notification that it's approved, and he sends out the loan commitment form. And then our CFO tracks all of the cash management.
Gotcha.
Does all the wires. Then my assistant tracks the loans that are out. So she's checking like what status each loan is in. Is it on the MLS yet? Is it under contract? If it goes under contract, we need to start chasing down the close date. So
right,
send the payoff out. So really it's I would say it's 2 full-time people if you combine it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've kind of, we've scaled pretty quickly here in the last 6 or 8 months. We're at about 20 million now. And
Nice.
there's a couple things that have come along with that volume, that, it's an easy fix, but it's just something we didn't think ahead far enough. And one of those is the processing of rehab draws. We're getting now the volume of loans we have out there every single day, we're getting hit with and that's time consuming because the way we do it is it's very structured, but they have to upload videos and pictures and walkthroughs and all that. Well, somebody physically has to look through all that, make sure the work is done, then process it, send the ACH.
Yeah.
And that is at a point now that itself, just managing rehab draws, has almost become a full-time position within us, our company,
At what point did you get to that point? Was it 10 minutes?
Very, very recently. So we went from 5 to 17 in 6 months.
Where did all that money come from?
It was kind of a big network of people that knew one another or knew of one another. And there's kind of one waiting for I planted a lot of seeds early within these networks. And, soon as one found out the other one invested, the next one did. And then it started compounding. And then we had one very large investor that everybody, all of them kind of looked up to. He came in real heavy twice, so in 2 different waves. But my point is, it went from, and fortunately, the bigger waves, especially from this one investor, has allowed us to take it in as we have loans. So we're not paying interest from day one on it until we put it to work. So that gave us a little bit of lead time to get these loans out. But my point is, it went from, at 5 million, we were all managing it ourselves. It was fine. So this has all happened in 6 to 8 months, where the scale has happened ahead of us knowing the workload that would come with it. It didn't happen, gradually. It's happened pretty fast. So
there's different levels of problems at every size.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's a good problem, and we're figuring it out. But it's allowed us to get into the thing I was most excited about in the beginning, and that's building out a team and a culture. And we're doing that now. So,
good for you guys. Yeah, last time I talked, I think you guys were at like $4 million.
Probably, yeah. I think we were at 5. I remember specifically last October, I gave a presentation. I was excited. We had just hit 5, and but we have some commitments come in, and then it was like turn of the year, man. A lot of it was through a lot of follow-up, and we had a lot of investors that came in small to test it out that came in real big later,
Yeah.
So,
you never know how much money people have either.
Exactly. Especially around here, man. Like you grew up around here. There's a lot of these farmers and landowners and stuff that, they'll live in a double wide driving a 30-year-old truck. You don't realize they're sitting on millions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cool, man. So I'm excited. Where are you guys lending? All over the country or just in your market?
The majority of our loans are right here in our market, our backyard. We lend to a couple people that are in our mastermind groups that are like good operators.
Yep. Yep. Cool. So we what I'll do is I'll drop the links to all of your stuff down in the show notes when we get done and this comes out. But I'll kind of wrap things up with this, and I talk about it a lot with folks that come on here, and it's kind of a cliche question, but I just like to know people's their perspectives on it. But legacy gets thrown around a lot. Like, what's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? You know, what do you want people to say about you when you're gone away from here? What do you want them to think of you? I'm gonna phrase it this way. Let's fast forward to 80-year-old Caleb, and you're probably still gonna be grinding, doing everything you're doing now, but let's look back from that point, and what do you think you're gonna be most proud of?
That's a really good question. I think I would be most proud of if the majority of people that I touch said that I helped them reach their full potential, or more than what they reach and attain more than they thought they could. I love pushing people to reach further and to always be self-improving, and just creating a better version of themselves.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the probably because you've had some history of coaching. I know you've been on teams, but you've coached some sports and stuff like that, and probably mentored folks. But I feel like your whole mindset, as well as mine, everything just. I go back to being that 15-year-old kid playing sports. You know, It's just like and that like even back then, I can think of things that I did or maybe said in a locker room or something that might have had a positive impact on something. That means more to me than anything, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And do you have memories of coaches that either told you could or told you couldn't do something at some point in your life?
Yep. Both.
And those like stick in my head forever.
Yep.
Yeah. Same way in business. Like it's just they're almost like traumatic experiences. If somebody said something negative or told me that I couldn't do something, I was just determined to prove them wrong.
I've got going back to burning the ships, a very specific story that I have not shared on here. And the person that said this to me is probably going to hear it, but I don't care. Former executive in my old company, he hired me 20 years ago. I respect him to this day. He's still with the company. He said to me we were having drinks after a meeting, one night, and we were talking about something. The company being bureaucratic, and I was frustrated that I couldn't freely implement some of the ideas I had and stuff like that. And the conversation evolved. He said, well, whatever you do in your career and your life, just don't ever burn the ships. Like, don't ever do something that you can't reel back in. And so that conversation has stuck with me to the point when I left that career, I was thinking of that conversation, like, I'm burning the ships on that career. Now I had something built, but just that was I don't agree with your mindset here. Like, I'm always going to try to advance it, move forward. And if I got to leave something behind doing it, I will. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I've had something.
What's that?
Don't tell us we can't do something.
Right. Exactly. And right. If you really want to mess with me, know that about me and really tell me I can't do something, because I'll die trying it. So, but no, dude, your story's impressive. I mean, you're not even close to 40 yet. You've built, a really good empire, if you will. You've done it in a way as you walk through your story, you're checking all the boxes. You're working through mentors, you're learning, you're taking action, you're vertically integrating all these different businesses into what you're doing, which diversifies everything, and very impressive. And I think there's a lot to be learned there. Is there anything else, any other thoughts you want to leave the folks with before we wrap up?
No, I mean, you say all that, but I take lumps every week. Like, it may look like all extremely glorified and everything on social media is always a highlight reel, but I still take painful lumps and kicks in the teeth every single week. But to become a good entrepreneur, you just learn to take them with a grain of salt, and you have to be able to just hold an even keel and just get back up over and over and over again.
Resilience, baby. That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's the name of the game. And if you're not getting kicked in the teeth every week or every month, you're probably not pushing hard enough.
That's right.
In my opinion. So, yeah. Well, Caleb, I appreciate you, man. Are you going to Asheville?
I should be there. Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, I won't be. My partner will be, and my brother, who let me make sure before I say this. Yeah, by the time this releases, it'll probably be public. If not, I'll probably have to delay this. But we're going to hire my brother into the company. So
Nice.
so his first taste of our world is not knowing a soul, and I'm sending him in my place to Asheville. So
Hey, well, he'll know me.
yeah, very good. So what's that?
Little brother.
My little brother, Brandon. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'll y'all can connect there. But I appreciate your time, man. I hope you keep healing well from your surgery. Get back out on the course soon, and get back in the weight room so you don't get fat. So.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Jace, thanks for having me on. Proud of you.
Take care. All right, man. Bye. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Burning the Ships podcast. As always, want to thank our sponsor, 608B Capital. We are a short-term lending fund, a debt fund, open for investors who are looking for a passive return. And also we offer products our main product, to fix and flippers and buy and holders, folks that are doing things like that in real estate. Also want to remind you about our referral program. Check out our website for more information on that, and we're happy to talk to you further if you're interested. Again, thank you for joining us on Burning the Ships, and do me a favor and go out and try to find someone or some way that you can add value into the world today. Think through it, zoom out, and try to find where you can add value. I think it'll help wrap up your day, wrap up your week, whatever you're working on a positive note if you constantly think that way. Where can I add value? So with that, we thank you for joining us on another episode of Burning the Ships. Have a good one.